in this country, and it is a it's a decision that is going to, impact many people, and in a very violent way. And I think that we need to talk about it in that way. Exactly, this is violence being done to our communities, to being done to people who can become pregnant, and to their ability to make decisions for themselves. What I would say really is that a lot of the stigma, I think, is driven by it's driven really by the I would say the lack of dialogues that we have in communities about these issues. And I think, I don't want to just put that on like any particular culture or a family or a community. I think that's also driven by many other factors. The fact that we just achieved the ability to have comprehensive sex education in California mandated, right, in our public schools in the last 5 years, I think, that the California Healthy Youth Act passed, means that our youth, we're not getting, we're not having discussions about healthy relationships, about sex, about contraception, about abortion. And, to be honest, sometimes, as parents, we don't always know how to talk about these things. And so we all need some support around that. I think we're not really, as communities, maybe we're not always looking at the total picture of what that means, for a person who is forced to continue a pregnancy that they do not wish to continue. What kind of economic implications that have, and what are the what's the impact on their family to add another member to the family that they have decided they don't think they can, have. And so I think just sticking with that narrative is really important, especially when many folks who are immigrants have immigrated from countries where, previous to the recent couple of years, most of Latin America outlawed abortion. They're making strides, they're making advances in Latin America, and I think we need to hold that up. Their movement building has been incredible. But if you're coming from a country where that's outlawed, you don't necessarily think about, that it might be legal here. And so you're just not even considering that as a possibility. And then I think, we have to look at just, social media, and again, some of the the very conservative news channels really do not help in the way that they spread information. And so people don't think about, I think people think about abortion as something that an irresponsible teen and their partner, get pregnant, and they, that they should have to live with their mistake, right? But they're not thinking about all of the many people that have abortions and all the many reasons, and how this is going to impact their health and the health of their families. And their economic situations, right? So it's really a complex issue that we need to really start talking about as just that, a complex issue. Even before this decision, advocates here in California, we are very proud to be here in California and partnering with a legislature and a governor that are supportive of reproductive rights and making sure that people have access. And we're also recognizing that this is that there's not equal access for everybody in this state. So when we have 40% of the counties without an abortion provider, that means that many people, 40% of people, or 40% of the counties, people will need to leave their home and travel. It could be, hours to the next place that they could get an abortion. And so we're talking about remote and rural communities, right? We're also talking about folks that maybe their language is not one of the threshold languages in California, where their medical providers are required to have translation in clinic. And so that necessitating an additional person coming, oftentimes that can be a child, because the children are often the ones that are fluent in English in immigrant families. And so that, puts a responsibility on a child, is parentifying the child, really, which we think is, is clearly it's not the best situation. We do what we have to do, but also for the person who is seeking the services, they don't necessarily want to bring their child and have them translate on these really very personal issues. I think what's next for us is what we've been doing all along. It's just more urgent. I think it's more urgent. And I think what will be top on our list is really trying to support our partners in other states, and knowing that the Guttmacher Institute is telling us we can see up to a 3,000% increase in the number of people that would be looking to access abortion here in California. we're just trying to see, the best ways that we can be supportive of folks coming in, of the providers here in California, of California residents who we're going to probably see longer wait times to be able to access services if there's people coming from any of those other 26, that's 26 states, over half of the country, where trigger laws have been enacted and will go into effect, if not today, shortly after. So I think and then continuing, like you said about, how do we sort of address these issues, or the issue of abortion that's a stigma in many communities, is just to continue to have these conversations in a very nuanced way, right? And say, really, this is not about faith. This is not about anyone's spirituality. Everybody has rights to their own beliefs, but we really need to look at, bodily autonomy being an important human right, and how do we preserve that? And I think most people would agree that everybody has the right to make decisions about their own bodies. And so continuing to reinforce that in our communities and everywhere we go is really, really important now. What we would say is that, we know that people of all ages, genders, races, abilities, immigration status, and classes will continue to seek and obtain abortions. And we are here to support that, right? We are standing strong with our partner organizations across the country to say just one big no to the Supreme Court, just no. And maybe it's just like, hell no, we're not doing this now. This is, abortion is something that has been practiced for thousands of years, for as long as people have been pregnant. People who can become pregnant have always known how to terminate a pregnancy if needed. And that will not stop now. And so I would say, reach out to reproductive health rights or justice organizations if you want to become involved. Support your local abortion funds, because they are the ones that are really fundraising to make sure that people who need to travel to other states will be able to get the care that they need, and continue having conversations within your family and within your communities, your neighborhoods, your schools, your churches, because this is a really important day and an infamous day, right?